When I was 24 years old, Kathy and I were living in the Bay Area, and I had a nervous breakdown. And so we moved to this little town called Weaverville and went to this church of about 40 people. And we were there for about a year when a guy named Bill Johnson became our pastor. And I didn't have a ton of value for him at first because I was needing a dad, and he was kind of looked like a big brother until I heard him preach. And when he preached, I had never heard a man speak like that in my life. And immediately our hearts were knit together. We instantly became best friends. It was like this big old happy family. About 19 years later, Bill moved to Redding, California to become the pastor of Bethel Church. And we were separated for a couple years, and I really began to miss our friendship about the second year. So Bill invited me to go with him on a ministry trip, and we ended up in this little cabin in the middle of the Colorado mountains in wintertime, about 3 feet of snow on the ground, and Bill's sleeping on one bunk right here, and I'm sleeping on another bunk, and the bathroom's right here. And so for 5 days, I have to walk by Bill in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And as I pass him in the middle of the night, Bill's laying on his back, and he's saying, "I love you, Jesus. Jesus, you're amazing." And I was so taken by his relationship with God that even when he was unconscious, he was passionate about Jesus. About the second night, I just began to weep. I would pass by his bed, and he'd be like, "I love you, Jesus. Jesus, you're amazing. Jesus, you're everything I've ever wanted." And day after day, I walked by that bed, and little by little, I began to realize I was actually born to be with this man. Like my destiny was actually in my people, and he was my people. I was born to be with this man. Well, I got home, and my wife met me at the door. I'd been gone for almost a week, and she said, "Well, how was the ministry trip? How did it go?" And I said, "I'm in love with a man." I'm in love with a man. And of course she thought I meant Jesus, which I am in love with Jesus. I said, "I'm talking about Bill. I feel like we're supposed to be with Bill the rest of our lives." And of course, she'd been married to me for a long time by then, and she realized that I really did hear from God. 2 years later, I ended up at Bethel Church working with Bill. And together we watched the church grow from 1,000 people to 9,000 people. And we watched the school start at 37 people and grow to 2,500 people over the last just 19 years. I realized that I always wanted to kind of do something myself. I wanted to be my own man. I wanted to build my own business. I owned 9 businesses, and I realized that I was making a living in business, but in order to make a difference, I actually had to find my people. You can do a lot more as a team than you can ever do by yourself.